What's up YouTube, Capital G here, checking out the brand new Drytron support that just got revealed coming out of the Infinite Forbidden. And keep in mind when I say just got revealed, I mean you guys might be seeing this video on Friday or maybe Saturday depending on how I structure my upload schedule, but I am actually shooting this video Tuesday night and I read these cards on Monday nights and I like them, but man, the community is very split on these cards. I mean, I have heard people say that these cards suck. I've heard people who are like, man, these cards are kind of nice. They increase the consistency or et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, people are kind of all over the place when it comes to these cards. I've talked to Logan Yugioh, aka the Drykage, and I don't think anyone knows more about Drytron than he does. But yeah, people have very differing opinions on this new support. It's only 3 cards. I might not even cover the trap because traps and ritual archetypes just go together like water and oil. I mean, I can't really think of a ritual archetype historically that really relied on a trap card. I don't even think Necros has a trap. But the first one is Drron Newton. This is our main deck effect monster, a non-ritual, and it's got the, you know, makeup and the stat line of a traditional Drytron, light machine, level 1, 2000 attack, etc, etc. You know, can't be normal summon. The restriction on this card is what is kind of raising the eyebrows of the Drytron community and making people think like, I don't know about this card, and that is you can't ritual summon monsters the turn you activate any of the effects except machine monsters. So this means that if you use this card's effect, you're not going to be able to go into Herald of Perfection. You're not going to be able to ritual summon, you know, any of the Cyber Angel monsters, none of the Ben 10 shenanigans, or, you know, no stealing monsters with like Natasha or anything like that. The first effect is if there is a Drytron card on the field, you could special summon this card from your hand or graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. Pretty good in my opinion, because it doesn't have to be a monster. You can use the field spell, which is a Drytron card, and then it just kind of serves as an extender. It banishes itself, but you know that won't really matter if you exceed summon into like Fafnir. Second effect, if this card is special summon, you can add a Drytron monster from your deck to your hand, except another copy of New 2. That is excellent. You know, more searchability. Ritual decks do get wrecked by Droll, but like you're already gonna get wrecked by Droll. It doesn't really matter how much, you know, more searching we get. I like this card, honestly. Again, I understand that as soon as you special summon this card, you're not gonna be able to summon any of your Cyber Angels or your Light Fairies or any of that. But I have seen a lot of lines where you can pretty much just use Ben 10 like one time and the inboard is still very good. So I look at this as a starter, an extender, and just a really good card overall, even if it does have a pretty hefty restriction. Your next up is the new boss monster, which is your dad Drytron Medis, Alpha Draconids. This is the biggest Drytron monster thus far. You know, level 12, 5,000 attack, 5,000 defense. You can ritual summon it with Medionis Drytron, which is like the ritual spell for Drytron. Other Drytron monsters can't be destroyed by card effects. Up to twice per turn, when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can banish Drytron monsters from your graveyard whose total attack equal or exceed that monster's original attack, negate that activation, and if you do, destroy that card. And then if this ritual summoned monster is destroyed by your opponent, you can special summon a ritual with 4,000 attack from your hand or deck, and it's treated as a ritual summon. So this card is nice in my opinion because it is a counter, like it is obviously an answer to Nibiru, which was a card that was like crazy good against Drytron. Drytron would have some choke points. You hit them with a nib at the right time. A lot of times it could just like end their turn. You summon this on your 5th summon, and that's no longer an option. Your opponent tries to nib you. You just banish a couple of Drytron monsters from the graveyard, and you could stop that. Even if your opponent had something crazy like, let's say your opponent had nib plus they had Valor, you could technically negate both because it doesn't say anything about, you know, once per chain or anything like that. So if your opponent had like nib Gamma, or if your opponent had nib Valor, you could stop both of them. The disruption on this card seems absolutely insane, especially if you summon this turn 0 and your opponent is, you know, playing one of these decks where they're starting off with little monsters like Low or Snake Eye Ash, you know, Snake Eye Popular, these little attack monsters where you can just banish one Drytron monster, get rid of that card, instant +1. Your opponent tries to use another monster like an extender, just negate that too, destroy both of their cards. The protection is nice, and then when your opponent does kill this card, it does just float into another ritual monster. I think the biggest problem with this card is kind of obvious. It's the fact that it's 5,000 attack, probably would have been, well, not probably, but it would have been a lot easier to work with if it would have been a flat 4,000, because 4,000 is either 2 Drytron monsters or 2 materials on Mu Beta Fafnir. But I have seen people summon this card relatively easily, and again, I think the trade-off for having like an instant answer to Nib or having double negation is well worth, you know, it being a little more difficult to summon than you would have liked. This card on your inboard for Drytron, I think is absolutely amazing. Probably equals what you were getting out of Herald of Perfection, you know, without like Abe and stuff like that, getting double negation. And the boards that I've seen Drytron players make now are incredibly solid. Like most of the boards are basically like Vanity's Ruler, you know, your new Dad Fafnir or your new Dad Medionis, which again is double monster negation, and then having like Mu Beta Fafnir with a material on it where it basically is like a spell and trap negate. So if your opponent does have something like an imperm for your Vantage Ruler, you just, you know, negate that. Your opponent can't special summon. If they have any normal summon effects that could get rid of any of your cards on field, it's like, all right, well, you could just negate that with the Dad effect. And, you know, I think the boards are good. I think that Drytron might just have to shift to incorporate these cards, but I think that they're very powerful. The trap card is Meteor Aurora Drytron. I don't really think it's that good. The second effect, you reveal Medionis from your hand and you can ritual summon during your opponent's turn, which is cute, but I think Gishki had a card that was just like that, and it never really caught on. The first effect, if a Drytron card becomes banished, you contribute a Drytron monster and then target up to 2 of your banished cards, add them to your hand with 2 of your Drytron banished cards. I don't really see that being all that good, to be honest, because it's like, I think tributing is the problem with the card, because it's like, I don't know, during my opponent's turns, I want to keep as many bodies on my field as possible, so I don't think the trap will be necessary at all. But personally, I like the new cards, and you know, obviously I'm open to being proven wrong, and I'll have some footage of what I've seen people do with these cards. I think that obviously if you didn't have the restriction of, you know, only being able to ritual summon machine monsters, I don't even think it would be a discussion. I think people would be in love with these cards, but you know, how much do you really summon Natasha, you know, going first turn 1? Probably not that often. Can you live without summoning, you know, ritual summoning Ben 10 in your first turn? Probably. I think that these cards will eventually find a home in Drytron. Are they, you know, cards that like fix the archetype or absolutely make it like so much better than it is now? Maybe not, but I think that they're still valuable cards. But you guys let me know what you think in the comment section below, because again, people seem to be very split on these cards, and I think they have potential. You know, could Konami have adjusted a line here or there and made these cards like infinitely better? Yeah, but you know, I think that what we're working with is definitely good. It's a very strong inboard on Drytron, and we'll see if these cards end up picking up. But whatever you guys think, you leave that in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching, as always.